Well, welcome everyone. Yesterday was a big event. One of the things that we do here, have been doing for many, many years, is Bible Bowl competition. And yesterday was the competition in Camp Hill. And I think you'll be proud of the kids here and the way they performed yesterday. And I'm going to invite Mark up now, and he will take you through everything. So give your undivided attention to Mark as he takes us through the events from yesterday. Mark.
Yes, we want to cheer for all the Bible Bowlers. So they've spent a lot of time studying this year, and it definitely paid off at the competition. We were able to go there with 3.5 teams. And when you consider there were 16 teams total, we had almost a quarter of the people there. So the one thing we weren't expecting is that our 2 third graders were going to be able to participate, but there was a team that was short 2 people. So they had the opportunity to be in the boxes for all the rounds and to participate. So that was definitely God's hand at work, and definitely a blessing. So we did extremely well throughout the day. In the morning, there's 6 rounds, 20 questions each. So I know some of you were here for the box rounds for mock bowl. So you saw that's about 20, 25 minutes a round. So that's a lot of questions. 120 questions for the morning rounds. Yeah. We also had this great photographer that showed up around lunchtime. We'll have a few pictures of him in the video as well. What? Okay. All right. So I guess should I go into what we did with the matches? Okay. So during those first 6 matches, 2 of our teams ended up in the top, is it 6 to go on? Okay, we were in 2nd and 3rd going into the semifinal rounds. Yes, very good. So they do a semifinal round, and after that, well, one of our teams was at the top, and the other was in 3rd going into the final round. So we had 2 out of the 3 teams in the final round going up against Carlisle. Yep. What? Was it Tabernacle? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not always right. Just more often than not when it comes to the book of Exodus. So we got 2nd and 3rd. And I am so proud of all of our kids. That's not the only impressive thing. If you see these wonderful shirts, we won the shirt contest. We also had one of the top individual scores. Yes. Jenna only missed 2 the entire morning. Yes. Stacy, do you have some more things you want to add at this point?
So a couple things that I wanted to add on here. I just kind of took some thoughts that I had. And just to give you guys kind of an idea on what these kids get in front of them is imagine an area as big as this room is that we're in right now, or maybe actually a little larger, and the kids are having to answer questions in front of that group. And some of these kids, it was their first year. And for Jared, Jake, Bianca, Andrea, Zion, Jaira, Hannah, and Haley, they'd never been in this competition before. So there was hundreds of people there, 16 teams, judges, or as we refer to them as quiz masters, that some of them were maybe a little bit scary. Some of them were friendly, and then many of them were in between. So some were easy to understand and some were not. So they had quite a challenge. Now we did have some experienced Bible bowlers with Patty Joe and Lori and Alexis all having been at least through their second one. Jenna's been through 3, and Aiden and Braden had been through 2. So the thing to take away from that, with the exception of Patty Joe, the oldest kid that I'm aware of is in 6th grade. We go up to 8th grade. So we have a very young team with more members coming on board. And remember that Hannah and Haley are in what grade? 3rd grade. So they're going to have a second season coming in as freshmen, so to speak. So we're really, really excited about what this team was able to do this year, all the teams for that matter. All right, I wanted to give you guys a little bit of an idea. Those top 2 teams that competed in the semis and in the finals came in 2nd and 3rd place. For the day, they did 120 questions in the morning. That's 20 questions per round for 6 rounds. They did 20 more questions in the semis, and then they did another 20 questions in the finals. So that's 160 questions. That's a lot of questions when you think about it. For those of you that saw a mock Bible Bowl, you understand that, when a question like, these are things you may know or you may not know. How long did Levi live? There we go. Yeah, we know you guys know. How long did he live? You guys can shout it out. All right, how many of you knew the answer to that one? All right, so a few of you did know the answer. I'm happy with that. Well, they get a lot harder than that, and there's a lot more of them. How many questions do you think we prepared during the year for the kids to study? Almost 1,000, 946 or 947, I forget. I would have gotten that one wrong maybe. Needless to say, 900 and some questions is a lot of material to remember. And most of them aren't one-word answers. A lot of them are phrases, and we don't make all the answers very easy, although I do throw a few in there that are pretty simple, just to liven up the mood sometimes. All right. We studied the books of Exodus and Joshua, 940-some questions. They got asked 160 of them during the day. The Pharaohs and the Ramses teams, that was the 2 teams that made it into the finals, they scored better than 90% correct all day long. In the final round there'd be 80 responses to those 20 questions because there's 4 on a team. We had a total of 3 misses out of those 80 in the final round. Unfortunately, Carlisle only had 1 miss in the final round, and that is pretty hard to beat. They got up, and I noticed they had 3 members that only missed 2 in the whole morning. And I was like, that is awesome. We got a chance because that means one of their team must have missed more than 2. Unfortunately, they were the next person that came up, and they didn't miss any in the morning. So needless to say, we came in 2nd and 3rd for a reason. The other team was highly prepared, and we commend them on the dedication that they had to Exodus and Joshua and to learning God's Word. If we're going to lose to somebody, I'd like to lose to somebody that only misses 1 out of 80 opportunities. So our guys did super, super well. This couple closing thoughts that I had as far as reflecting back on the year. These teams, when they came together in January, so that's usually we start early January and we go through and conclude with this middle of March competition. A lot of these kids didn't know each other that well, believe it or not. I mean, they kind of knew each other from here, but they kind of didn't have real close friendships. Well, that has changed, and it changed as a result of studying God's Word. And, the Bible talks a lot about relationship and the importance of it, from all the way back to Genesis, which we did last year, all the way through to the end of the Bible. And this is helping that process. These kids came together. They may be the closest knit group in the 5 years I've been involved with it. I think they all really work together very well all season long. A little bit of a snapshot on the work that went into it. We started in January, finished in March. There's a lot of books to read. They were averaging 4 to 5 chapters a week of material to go through so that they could answer those 940-some questions. It's a lot of material. They also spent every Sunday from 12:30 to 4:30 with us, going over the material that they read during the week. If I remember right, the Eagles played a few times during that time. They didn't see any of those games. That's dedication, I believe, in this area. So, and then they spent all day Saturday going through in competition with a very small box and a very large crowd in front of a sometimes pretty tough quizmaster. And these kids did really well. They're an inspiration to all of us all season long, and we really appreciate the hard work that they've put into it. And you think about it, think about your own studying of the Bible, and then think about how much time these guys are putting into this. I think it's a real testament to all of us to put more time and get into the Word. I can say for myself, and I'm sure Mark would agree, when you go through Bible Bowl, not only do you read Scripture, but you actually get to know it. You really get to know the nuances, the details, and we're excited that we're going to be able to see some of the things we've been learning in Genesis and Exodus in what we're going to be studying for this upcoming season, which we'll save that here for a few moments. We've got some things to show. But anyhow, those are the very quick Cliff Notes version of the season. I think we want to bring the kids up and give them some awards. Do you guys want to come up here and show what the awards that you did win for second and third? And we'll get a chance to do some pictures and so forth. What's that? All right, all the helpers, the youth helpers, adult helpers that are here this morning, can you guys come on up? Yeah, all you guys come up. Now, I know not everyone showed up here this morning. There's some vacations and other things that have been going on. But we do have a pretty good group of the total here. I think is there 10, 11? Yeah. Okay. So should have 10 here this morning. I believe Lori and Patty Joe Yanello are not here, and then Braden and Haley Toy are not here this morning. Those would be 4 additional members of the team from this year. And let's go down through the group. Each of you guys raise your hands as I call out your name. Jared. All right, Jared, this is your first year. And I'm going to come back through after I kind of introduce all you guys and just ask you real quick what your favorite memory of the season is. You don't have to give a real lengthy answer, but or you can tell me you're going to pass. I'll accept that. I understand. I'm kind of calling you out last second here. Jake. All right. Jake's his first year. Bianca. Just go ahead and raise your hand. All right, Bianca. First year for Bianca. Andrea. There's Andrea. First year for her as well. Zion. It's your first year. Very good this year. Jaira. Okay, your first year as well. So all of those are first years. Hannah. There's Hannah. She was one of our third graders that was on the team, her first year. Haley's not here this morning. Patty Joe and Lori Yanello are not here this morning. They both were ones that have been in this a few times. Alexis, I think this is your second year, correct? Jenna, it's his third year, I believe. So I think she did similar to Hannah and Haley. We called her a mascot back there about 4 or 5 years ago. So Aiden. All right, Aiden, it's his second year, and Braden's not here this morning. It's his second year as well. And again, all these guys did super, super well. If you compare where we started back in January to where we ended up yesterday and the knowledge and the questions they could answer, it's amazing on how things went. I don't know about Mark, but I know there was at least 3 times during the final round where I probably would have guessed the wrong answer myself. So, and I help write the wrong answers, help write the right answers, and help do the material. So these kids are pretty impressive when you think about that. Let's give a round of hand, or a hand for these guys. All right. What I want to do next is we had a lot of helpers this year, thankfully. This doesn't work without a lot of help. I'm going to recognize them, then I'm going to come back around. I'm going to ask the kids what their favorite memories were. All right. Elijah was one of the helpers along with Maya this year. Very helpful. So all of the pieces that go with this, when you have helpers, you've got to have time for what? What happens with kids if you just study material for 4 hours straight? Do you give any attention? Do they decide they don't want to come back the next week? All right, we have to have games. We have to have things that encourage them to have a little bit of fun while they're learning the Word and build relationship and those things. And all of these guys were instrumental in that process. So we appreciate that, Elijah and Amaya and Michelle Yanello and you just went blank on me. Corbin. All right, you're in with the Scarzellas now because I couldn't pronounce that name for like 2 years when I came here. There's no reason for it, but now I'm going to have a mental block on your name. You're going to have to remind me for at least the next 24 months. All right, Teresa, thank you. I appreciate all of what you guys have done this year. We've given you a thank you card. We hope that you guys can enjoy that from the congregation. And again, we really appreciate the help that you guys provided because we got some great results, and it doesn't come by accident. It comes from dedication and hard work. I think that was most of the things. Did you have anything more you wanted to add, Mark?
Also want to definitely thank Hannah Yanello as well, since she's not here. She's been a great help. And also thank everybody who's been able to support us, the parents, and those who've provided meals, because we definitely can't practice on an empty stomach. Well, okay. I can try that. And I definitely want to say that I couldn't have done it without Stacy and Julie. We just work very well together, and I can say that I'm not always the greatest with words, but Stacy's a lot better, and you could be my mouthpiece, but I will not be as God to you.
Well, I had an opportunity to go over yesterday and watch the competition, and it is a bit intimidating for these kids to sit up there and with all these people out there, and you're trying to answer a question that can be difficult. So we were really proud of the way they performed. And speaking for the elders, we take a little bit of solace in the fact that realizing that the team that beat us so badly at Mock Bible Bowl were really good teams. So they talked about every Sunday starting in January through March. That's what you see, but there's a lot of prep work that goes in even before that work starts. And this year, Mark, trying to help the elders as best he could, actually created a little Google app that we could go on, and it was kind of like multiple choice. It would ask the questions, and we had a way of going through and doing multiple choice as to whether or not we answered the question correctly. In spite of all of his efforts in doing that, we still didn't perform very well. But it takes a lot of dedication. On Sundays afternoons, we would get to go home. Most of us go home, have a nice meal, watch football. And these guys were committed every Sunday afternoon to be here and to guide these kids. So we just want to recognize them as well for their efforts. So Stacy and Julie, would you come up? And Mark and Jessica. Thank you. And on behalf of the congregation, we want to thank you for your dedication and commitment, and also for the great results. Thank you. So you want to
Let's go through and ask them to remember. I almost forgot about that. Okay.
Before we start our videos, because when I say videos, we actually have multiple, we're going to ask each of the Bible Bowlers what your favorite experience or your favorite part of Bible Bowl is.
I like doing the games. Treasure hunt.
And if anyone wants to know what treasure hunt is, what we do for part of our practice is we go through all the text and we choose, or beforehand, we choose out a few different verses, and then we take out some of the words and make them blanks. So that way, if the students can go through the Bible and find those blanks during practice. And the part that's treasure is when they finish, they get candy.
Prizes.
Boxes.
Pew jumping.
Boxes.
Treasure hunt.
Pew jumping.
Spending time with my friends.
The final quiz.
Oh, wow. Great. I'm impressed. One more round of applause for all the Bible bowlers and helpers. So I intended on splitting up the videos, doing one at the beginning and the other at the end, but I forgot, so we will run them all together. You will be entertained, even though it will be a little long.
Wade in the water, wade in the water. Cause it's gonna trouble the water. Wade in the water, wade in the water, wade in the water, children. Wade in the water, cause it's gonna trouble the water. See that band, and they're all dressed in a white. Cause it's gonna trouble the water. Said the leader looks like an Israelite. Cause it's gonna trouble the water. Everybody say, wait in the water. Wait in the water. Wait in the water, children. Wait in the water. Gonna trouble the water. See that band all dressed in red. Cause it's gonna trouble the water. Well, it looks like the band that Moses led. Cause it's gonna trouble the water. Wade in the water. Wade in the water. Wade in the water, children. Trouble the water. Children, wait. He's gonna trouble. He's gonna trouble. He's gonna trouble. Children, wait. He's gonna trouble the water. Cause it's gonna trouble the water. Oh my Lord, my Lord. Cause it's gonna trouble the water. Children, gonna trouble. God is gonna trouble it. God's gonna trouble the water. Wade in the water. Wade in the water, children. Everybody ought to wade in the water.
On my hand. They got caught in a blender.
Gonna trouble
Release
the
the victim. Or C, none of the
God's
above.
gonna trouble
Answer's up.
the water.
The correct answer is C, none of the above.
Everybody ought to wade. Get in the water. Get in the water. Wade in the water, children. Wade in the water. Wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. Wade in the water. Wade in the water, children. Wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. Wade in the water.
Simeon, Levi, Judah, Dan, Gad, Naphtali, Asher, Zebulun, Issachar, Joseph, and Benjamin. These are the 12 sons of Israel!
I liked being in Bible Bowl because of all the people here and because of how fun it was. It was like a really fun way to learn the Bible, and that was cool.
Yeah, guys, get out of the... Sorry, Mark. Okay, get ready.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plagues in Egypt land. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plagues in Egypt land. Blood in the water made the river run red.
10 plagues in Egypt land.
Pharaoh should have listened to what God said.
10 plagues in Egypt land.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plagues in Egypt land. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plagues in Egypt land. Frogs were jumping in Pharaoh's hair.
10 plagues in Egypt land.
Pharaoh didn't like it, but the frogs didn't care.
10 plagues in Egypt land.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plagues in Egypt land. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plagues in Egypt land. Creepy, crawly, itchy lice.
10 plagues in Egypt land.
Mess with the Holy One, you better think twice.
10 plagues in Egypt land.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plagues in Egypt land. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plagues in Egypt land. Filthy flies so dirty and vile,
10 plagues in Egypt land.
not exactly Pharaoh style.
10 plagues in Egypt land.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plagues in Egypt land. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plagues in Egypt land. The cattle and the horses and the oxen died.
10 plagues in Egypt land.
I won't give up, old Pharaoh cried.
10 plagues in Egypt land.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plagues in Egypt land. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plagues in Egypt land. Boils and blisters on his skin.
10 plagues in Egypt land.
Give it up, Pharaoh, you're never gonna win.
10 plagues in Egypt land.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plagues in Egypt land. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plagues in Egypt land. The hail rained down from the heavens on high.
10 plagues in Egypt land.
Hurt so much made Pharaoh cry.
10 plagues in Egypt land.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plagues in Egypt land. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plagues in Egypt land. Swarms of locusts ate the crops.
10 plagues in Egypt land.
Hard-hearted Pharaoh just wouldn't stop.
10 plagues in Egypt land.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plagues in Egypt land. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plagues in Egypt land. Dark descended in the light of the day.
10 plagues in Egypt land.
Pharaoh was lost, couldn't find his way.
10 plagues in Egypt land.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plagues in Egypt land. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plagues in Egypt land. Firstborn, the final blow.
10 plagues in Egypt land.
Finally, Pharaoh let the people go.
10 plagues in Egypt land.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plagues in Egypt land. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plagues in Egypt land. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plagues in Egypt land. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plagues in Egypt land. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plagues in Egypt land. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plagues in Egypt land. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plagues in Egypt land. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plagues in Egypt land.
Cut! Okay, get your stuff and go back in where it's warm.
It's fortunate I didn't feel a single thing with the ice. I didn't feel anything.
In my former video, Theophilus, I explained the life of Christ in 3 minutes. Now I'm going to tell you the rest of the story. After being crucified, Jesus comes back to life and hangs out with the apostles. He tells them they will receive the Holy Spirit and be his witnesses. Jesus takes off. The disciples are gathered together on Pentecost when the Holy Spirit arrives. Tongues of fire hover over them, hence the logo. The disciples speak in tongues. Peter preaches the first sermon. 3,000 people get saved. God 1, Satan 0. The end of Acts chapter 2 is written, providing mission statements for churches in the 21st century. Peter heals a lame man and preaches another sermon. Another 2,000 people get saved. Peter and John are thrown in jail. They're released. Peter and John celebrate with the other believers and pray for continued boldness. God rocks the house, literally. Ananias and Sapphira lie about their offering to the church and are struck dead. Contributions skyrocket. The apostles preach again. They are thrown in jail again. An angel releases them. They preach some more. The apostles nominate 7 deacons to look after widows and orphans, including Stephen, a man full of faith in the Holy Spirit. Stephen is stoned. Present at the stoning is a young man named Saul. We'll come back to that later. Persecution breaks out. Believers scatter. Things look bad for the church. Or do they? Wherever the believers go, they preach the word, thus fulfilling the Great Commission. God 2, Satan still 0. Philip meets a eunuch. The eunuch is baptized. Meanwhile, Saul is on his way to persecute believers in Damascus when Jesus appears. Saul is blinded. Saul is healed. Saul repents and begins preaching to the same people he intended to persecute. God 3, Satan, well, you get the idea. Peter has a vision of unclean animals. Peter has an encounter with unclean Gentiles. He gets it. God has extended salvation to the Gentiles. Major game changer. Herod is eaten by worms. Barnabas and Paul start working together, traveling and preaching the word. By the way, I'm going to call Saul Paul now. I don't have time to explain why. Still with me? In Lystra, crowds attempt to worship Paul and Barnabas as gods. They refuse to be worshipped and are stoned. The Lystrians are a tough crowd. Paul and Barnabas survive. Paul and Barnabas part ways. Paul and Silas team up. Timothy joins Paul and Silas. Paul circumcises Timothy. Paul receives a vision of a man from Macedonia asking for help. The party leaves for Macedonia. Spoiler alert, they are thrown in prison yet again. They sing. An earthquake loosens their shackles, but they stick around to lead the jailer to Christ. Yada yada yada, more preaching. In Troas, Paul preaches for so long that a man falls asleep and plummets out a window to his death. The man is resurrected. Paul preaches some more. The man wishes he was dead. Paul returns to Jerusalem, where he is promptly arrested again. He is visited by the Lord, who assures him that Paul will testify about him in Rome. Paul feels better. Paul is transferred to Caesarea, where his case is caught up in red tape for 2 years. Finally, Paul appeals to Caesar and is put on a fast ship to Rome. The shipwrecks. Paul is bitten by a snake. At last, Paul makes it to Rome. He is placed under house arrest and continues to preach the gospel while awaiting trial. And that is all we know of Paul's story. Somewhere in there, he finds the time to write a few letters. Today, they comprise much of the New Testament. The New Testament is also where you'll find the book of Acts. The end.